I try to pick out, first of all, songs that have a good running beat to them, and pick out songs that have stuff like running in them, like Give Me 3 Steps, Walk, Don't Run, you know, stuff like that. About 2 or 3 years ago, people started coming by and giving me requests. You know, they come by and want Doors, Grateful Dead, or Rolling Stones, or, you know. I have to tear my living room up to do this, but it's only one day a year. Come on. No, why didn't this come on? What the runners tell me is when they come up that first, there's 330 steps there, and they come up that and they're tired, and they see the second steps, which is about 300 steps.
Second step, second
and,
wind?
Yeah, and they see the second steps coming up, and then they hear the rock music, and they all come up and they start pumping their fists. This is unbelievable. This has been playing all week. This has been playing, excuse me, this has been playing all year. Why in the hell is this not playing? You know, yeah, I think about it because I used to be a runner, and so I play things with a beat that you can run to. You know, you wouldn't want to play reggae music and have everybody, you know, bouncing up the steps. You got to play something with like a running beat. Well, we are going to use a piano type amplifier because for some reason, after 10 years of service, this amp quit working, this Marantz. Watch your ears, there's no volume control. Running music.
It's 7 miles long, across the southwestern shoulder of Mount Tamalpais. San Francisco is only minutes from the start, but the city can feel a century away. It's a trail and a race of contrast and variation, of metaphor. It's also a race of history and tradition. By morning's end, there'll be over 100 Dipseas in the book, run through 100 years. 1,400 will start in Mill Valley. All will follow a similar path, but each in their own way. 1,000 epic adventures of 90 minutes or less. But there's only one winner, and because it's easier to follow the action at the front than in the middle, this is a story about the race to win the 100th annual Dipsea. Here then are this year's race favorites, and a couple of long shots too. The little girl in pink is Riley Johnson. She's 8 years old and the youngest girl in the race. Last year she led the race for a couple of miles. It was pretty cute. Next to Riley in blue is Melody Ann Schultz. Melody is 68. She's won the Dipsea 3 times. She's also collapsed twice while leading the race. Melody is considered one of the all-time great Dipsea runners. Russ Kiernan is another 3-time champion. Russ won at ages 60, 62, and 65. He's a race and fan favorite every year. That's Jamie Rivers on the left. Jamie's 60. She and her husband Roy have both won the Dipsea and are both expected to repeat as champion. Mark McManus ran the race's fastest time for 3 consecutive years. Mark finished second last year and may be the favorite to win this year's Dipsea. Mark is 36. Last year, 23-year-old Alex Varner ran the race's fastest time, but only finished in 3rd place, because the Dipsea is a handicapped race, which means that most runners get head starts. Riley and Melody start in the first group of the race and get a 25-minute head start over Alex, who's in the last group, the scratch runners group. The race start is staggered, 26 groups starting at minute intervals. The groups are organized according to the principle that a runner of any age, man or woman, can be the first to the finish and win the race. This year it could be Riley or Melody, it could be Alex or Mark, Russ, Roy, or Jamie. For all of them, and for hundreds more, a full year of anticipation and preparation has led to this moment, the start of the 100th annual Dipsea race.
Okay, AAA group, you know the drill. Start slow, taper off. Your race begins in 3, 2, 1.
At 8:30, the whistle blows for the race start, and Riley and Melody are away. We don't know what time the winner will start, but we can predict the time that he or she will finish. About 9:42 a.m., 72 minutes from now, and 47 minutes after the scratch groups start.
Well, whenever anyone asks me what the Dipsea's about, the first thing that I would say to them is describe the course and how difficult it is. And the best way I can describe it to a runner is to say that if you were to run at the 8-minute pace over a 7-mile race, just 7 miles, you'd have one of the fastest times of anybody out there. If you ran at the 7-minute pace, you would have the fastest time. If you ran at the 6-minute pace, which is a minute a mile slower than a good national class marathoner runs 26 miles, you would break the course record by 2 minutes. That's how difficult this course is.
It consists of a cross-country, almost straight as the crow flies type race with starting downtown Mill Valley.
It starts out with like almost a mile of stairs, and I don't know how many there are. There's like 600 or something?
Something like that, yeah.
A lot of stairs.
I don't know the exact number anymore. I think it's 672 or 676 steps now.
It includes 677 stairs, probably within the first half mile there.
And then you like go up a little more hill, and then you go down.
Descend down to Muir Woods. That's probably about a 1,000-foot drop.
Oh, and there's like, what's that one? Suicide?
Mm-hmm.
Suicide is like, it's like shortcut, and it's like straight down. And then you get to Muir Woods.
And then you climb up, I think it's about 1,300 feet.
Up, 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 up.
Really steep up for a while. And then it kind of like levels out a little bit, but it's still up for like a long time.
A long 2-mile uphill with hills called Dynamite, the Hog's Back. Then we go through kind of a drippy forest area, the rainforest.
And then you go the rest of the way up the hill. And
where is that now?
What's that one called before you get to the top?
I'm not sure.
Rough go?
Cardiac, where you feel like you're going to have a cardiac.
Because you're just about at the end of the rope on the uphill.
Anyways, and then you're at the top, and it's really exciting. And then
you have a spectacular view towards the ocean. Now you're making more or less a blasting 20 minutes or better down to the Stinson Beach finish.
And you pretty much just keep on going down, 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 and down, and down, and down, and down.
And then you descend down the swoop, which is treacherous and rickety and terrible footing.
And then you have steep ravine with stone steps. It's all hazardous down hills. But then you get to almost what you think is the last hill, or you've completed them, and then you have a nasty little 100-yard up called Insult Hill, named by Don Pickett.
Which is nothing but an insult that late in the race, and then you gut it on into the finish over the moors or take the shortcuts down the road.
There's a couple of shortcuts that include some pavement running and nasty little trails, so it gets very crowded when you have some 1,500 total people set off in waves. And then you make the spectacular finish down through a spectator line corridor to the finish at Stinson Beach.
And then you finish at beautiful Stinson Beach.
And then it's just down into the finish until the end, and then it's just flat into the thing.
I've been running the Dipsea race. Well, this is going to be my 3rd year. I started running when I was 3, and I just kind of, I just kept on running, and I heard of the race because my dad started running it, so I started running it as well. I'm trying to beat him this year. I do start in the first group in the race, and I'm happy about that because I can get a lead in front of everybody else, and so everybody else is behind me, and when they catch me, I'm still going to be close to the front, so I can keep it in the front for a little while, but then I might get in the back for a little bit. But yeah, I did do a report on the Dipsea, and I went to Russ Kiernan's house, and he had all his trophies out, and I got to take some pictures of that. Yeah, I really, really want a black shirt, and I'm trying to get one this year, but I don't think I'm going to be able to, but I'm going to try to. I hope I do, though, because that would be really, really, really cool. Because I know that only a couple other, I think it was only one other person got a black shirt or won something in the Dipsea race when she was 8, and that would be pretty cool to be almost that age as well, because I am that age, almost that age as well, getting a black shirt.
The black shirts started not as black shirts, but as blue shirts and yellow shirts and any number of shirts, because the Dipsea race in its earlier incarnations had a hard time figuring out what order people finished. So somebody had the bright idea of handing out T-shirts at the finish line, and so you would know who 1 through 25 was, and there were 25 T-shirts. People kept them; they seemed sort of cool. And then in 1978, they went to 35 shirts. Ever since the shirts turned black in 1977, they have become a mania. And I have heard so many people say, if I could win a shirt, I would die happy. There's no other race I can think of where finishing 35th, it has this monumental import. The difference between 35th and 36th is like night and day. It's crazy. Finishing 35th is like surviving a plane crash. And it's painful, there's dirt, there's dust, things are flying around, and you have no idea how you did it. The number of variables is insane, where one more fast runner shows up, or one runner doesn't fall down, you're 36th. To win, you have to have 1 or 2 things go right. To finish exactly 35th, everything has to go your way.
I didn't know how important it is until the time when I actually got the black shirts for the first time, and it was number 35. And I thought that I missed it by 10 places. I was so exhausted. I was just exhausted mentally and physically. I was really upset about the fact that I didn't make it. And then somebody came in and said, you know that you got the last black shirt, and all of a sudden all of the pain, everything totally evaporated, and I just jumped up and started running around like, like, hey, everything is gone. I felt totally great.
Jackie Taylor gets 31, Jeff Vaughn gets 32, 33. Chase Garcia gets 35th again.
So that tells you how important black shirt is. It gives you some extra excitement that normally few things give you that.
38 and 39, David Richards 39 by our count.
So there's a tendency to go too quick at the start, common in races, but especially this one.
Since it's a handicap race, you got a group well ahead of you taking off on the minute, and everybody's trying to make a mad dash for the stairs, and then to deal with that very hard uphill 677 stairs will turn your legs to rubber if you don't pace it right. All right, now we're scrambling on those stairs. Let's go. So today we're just playing a little bit leg fatigue simulation on the track by mixing up some exercises along with the intervals. 3, 4, 5. Now hang on a second. Hang on a second. Let's do them again. I see this. All right, let's go. Come on, you're trying to simulate. Remember back in '83, a demonstration by Sergei Litvinov, the Russian hammer thrower. Front squatted, 405 pounds, 8 times, and did a 75-second quarter, and did that for repeats. So a few squats with no weight shouldn't be much to complain about in comparison, I'd say. But the idea is that just a little bit of leg fatigue, but I'm going to keep them moving too, because that's exactly what happens out on the course. So the theme today is course simulation.
How many black shirts, Tomasz, do you have? 4 black shirts? Okay, the way you're looking...
Young Riley is first up the steps, with a split of 9.5 minutes for the first 2/3 of a mile. Melody is 15 seconds back in second. Behind them, 9 more start groups, including Russ Kiernan's 23-minute group and Jamie Rivers' 18-minute group, have joined the race.
Can we have the E group to the starting line, please? Can we have the G group to the starting line?
I'm so bad on all these digital and cameras and computers. God, I can barely make it work. I do have it on 0 now. All right. Getting better. You did it the first time that time. 22 seconds faster coming over this way. This is, well, 2:08, and that was 23 seconds. It was 1:45 coming down. So it's significant. I know last year I checked it out. People are they're not going down here, they're not going down here. They're going straight out here. Definite across here. And I don't know. Looks like they're not cutting in there at all. But they were sort of going out onto that ridge and then coming down. Can't see where they're... You wouldn't want to, this is too circuitous. That's what you never want to do when people follow someone and they've never done it. It's really stupid because they're, the people who have done it are going to get through a lot faster, and then you're going to be going, you're not going to know where the hell to go.
Well, it is an open course, and actually I should have mentioned it before. That's part of the mystique of the course, that it is a race where you can actually explore options. You can design the Dipsea race specifically to your abilities. You can see, I can run through here, but there I'll take it easy, and the shortcuts are part of the design. And that's part of the art of running Dipsea. That you kind of create it so it will fit you. So at the end in the race, you run it optimal.